Okay, so I'm not very far into my ride so far today at all. About a half a mile. But with all the trees in bloom, I thought it would be nice to get some of this on there for you, especially if you live in a part of the country where you don't get this kind of color. But yeah, we're gonna go for a ride. Yesterday I rode for about 10 minutes or so, just kind of testing out the new tire. Today we're gonna try and squeeze in, the typical 20 miles or so. So what the plan is to jump on the trail here and go north. And I'm gonna explain something to you guys once we get there. So this bridge here off to the right is the same bridge that I crossed yesterday. And you know what, we'll go over here. So apparently this whole area was supposed to be turned into a golf course at one point, but as they started evaluating the land for such a undertaking, they found a endangered mouse. So this whole place was labeled as a sanctuary for that endangered mouse. Not a sanctuary, but like no development on this area. So all these houses you see were supposed to be golf court fronted houses. And now they front this open space, which in my opinion is even better. Unless of course you're a golfer, but let's face it, golf courses are a waste of money and space. Unless of course you're a golfer, which luckily there's a lot less. From what I've read, they're closing golf courses across the country because there's not a lot of people golfing to keep them going. Heck, they've closed a couple here in the Denver metro area alone, municipal golf courses, because nobody wants to golf. And the amount of money it takes to manage them and maintain them just far supersedes the amount of money they were making on them. So the problem is, and I just thought of it, is I'm off-road-ish, and I do know for a fact those goat heads are in this area because I used to walk this on a daily basis when I lived down here, and I've had them in my shoes and flip-flops and sandals and stuff. So we're just gonna hope we don't get any, because I would hate to have to replace the tire again so soon. But as you can see, other people are already out and about. I haven't been on a long ride. I think yesterday was the longest ride I'd been on in a while. So I haven't been on a long ride in quite a few minutes, or a little over a week. And we're going to try and squeeze in about 20 miles today, so we're going to go 10 miles north. Might get about to Cherry Creek State Park. Might not. We will see. And of course, I will narrate the entire trip, talk about whatever's on my mind, and go from there. So, I don't know if you saw that thing on my right there. That was a bat house. You can find them periodically throughout the area for bats to, make homes to sleep. Keeps the bats around, which eat insects and stuff. So it's very pro environment. And they've been doing this construction for months. I think they started in the spring. I don't know what the plan is. But I used to walk through here back during COVID. Just trying to get outside, away, not be around crowds. But still, get out of the house and exercise, because you can only sit there and do so much for so long before you can't. This building to my 1 o'clock, now to my straight ahead, is the Parker Rec Center. I actually almost stopped in there the other day because somebody told me that I don't know how true it is. They were talking about Denver rec centers, but then they said no, all rec centers. And I don't know if they meant all Denver rec centers or all rec centers in Colorado. But somebody told me that with my veterans ID, I can get into rec centers for free. Again, I don't know how accurate that is, but since it is so close to where I'm staying right now, I thought it would be interesting to go in and ask. Ooh. I'm still in Pedal Assist 0 because, you know, exercise. Which is also why we're going so slow. And I adjusted the seat yesterday after I put the tire back on, but it feels low. I don't know if it's supposed to, I think I'm going to need a longer seat post going forward. I'll go through winter like this because I don't know how many days of riding I'm actually going to do this winter because, you know, the cold. You know, it might be a day like today where it's beautiful blue skies and mild weather, but once you start moving, that air bites into you, it gets through your clothes and everything, so yeah. But my friends got back last night, the ones whose house I was staying at. They super excited about the house they bought, and they literally woke up this morning and started packing because they want to be mostly moved out by the end of this month. So they got a couple of weeks. They're going through trying to identify what they're going to take with them, since it's a beach style house or a house relatively close to the beach. They want to go with a beach theme or a coastal theme. So they're like, yeah, we're not taking any of this stuff, so if you want it, you can have it. So apparently you didn't see that sign because I didn't stop and look at it. Hey puppy, what's up? No need to yank him. But apparently there used to be a railroad that came through here. That's what that sign said, was the something something railroad came through here at one point. So we're gonna, since we're relatively flat, we're gonna beef up the mechanical gears here for a second. But yeah, like I was literally, right before I left, I was literally in the garage with the husband. And they have 4 bicycles because it was the 2 of them, and they have 3 kids, but one kid was already in college when I met him. And he's like, yeah, he goes, I don't know what to do with all these bikes. I'm like, well, you can donate them or you can put them on Craigslist for like $100, see what sells. It's up to you. You know, when you get down there, you guys can buy, well, hey puppy, what's up? You guys can buy, you know, a couple of little electric bikes and, you know, get you to the beach and stuff. He's like, oh no, she wants to get a, what does she want? She wants to get a golf cart because it's a golf cart community we're moving to. So people drive their golf carts to the pool and they drive their golf carts to the local supermarket and stuff. And I'm like, okay. But bicycles are exercise. And he's like, yeah, nope, she wants a golf cart. But he did tell me they're hoping to sell their house for about $900. The neighbor's house just sold this weekend after and I'd say neighbor, like 3 houses down, just sold after being on the market for a few months. Apparently there was a bidding war, and they it just sold for like $875. And he's like, yeah, but we got 2,000 square feet more than they do. I was like, oh, fair enough. Hope you get what you want. So there's a little dog park off to the left-hand side here. Some apartments right there. If I wanted to live in this area, I would gladly look at those apartments because they're right next to a dog park, and I do want to get a dog when I get a chance. Let's ride on this. But, yeah, I just don't want to live in this area. I really don't. I mean, the people are nice enough, but they're nice in that they're all middle-aged white people, and I'm a middle-aged white person, so If I was a different color or a different age or something, they might not be as nice to me. You know what I mean? Some of you will definitely know what I mean. Some of you are wondering what I'm talking about. So, yeah. But yeah, the RTD, the Regional Transportation District, which is what runs the buses and the trains around here, they service Parker. Well, a couple years ago, Parker decided they didn't like people taking the buses. So the city council and the mayor passed a rule saying that they're going to inform RTD that they do not want to be part of the RTD district anymore. Which, for them, they sold it as a tax saving, because you pay like a small percentage of taxes to be part of the district. It supplements the bus and train fees so that they can stay low rather than, being exorbitant to the point where nobody will use it. And there are 2 bus stations in Parker, and both bus stations will take you to a a train station if that's the way you're going. But Parker decided they're on this whole big we don't tax anything kick. So they told RTD that they no longer wanted to be part of the Regional Transportation District. The problem is twofold in my opinion, and there's probably more folds that I'm just not aware of. First fold that I am aware of is even upon date of notification, which was like 2 or 3 years ago, they still have to allow RTD to operate for like an extra 20 or 30 years. So it's not like RTD just stopped servicing Parker all of a sudden. That you can go by the RTD stations Monday through Friday, and there's cars everywhere. There's people taking the bus to the tech center, taking the bus downtown, or taking the bus to the train to get downtown or whatever, so they don't have to sit in traffic. Yeah, same thing here. I mean, this looks nice, and it's probably not bad. You got the open space right here to the right-hand side. Costco's right over there. But there's that highway right behind us, and it's a private highway. That's a whole other thing. But, yeah, so. And then the other thing is, once you leave the RTD, and I don't know if the 20 years applies to this as well, but once you leave the RTD district, you no longer get the protections of being in the RTD district. What do I mean by that? Well, if your vehicle is registered in the RTD district, you can park at any of the RTD lots for free. If it is not registered in the RTD district, aka if you are not paying that minimal amount of tax into the RTD system, you have to pay to park, which is going to upset a lot of people who, like myself, usually park at the RTD station and then take the train to Denver, because it's just easier and cheaper than trying to go downtown and find parking. So I think a lot of people are going to get shocked when they start getting thank you for parking at RTD. You did not pay your $3 to park here today, so here's your $30 ticket notices. Whew. But yeah, these look like townhomes more than they look like apartments, which is fine. I used to own a townhome up in Denver. So, yeah. Well, and apparently it's a little breezier than I was expecting. So, when we get to an area without any breeze or where it's not so windy, I'll talk about what happened last week, which is why I'm down here and not in Denver. I mean, you can tell by the leaves on these trees. It's not like super windy, but it's windy enough. I've never been to this park ever. I drive by it all the time because this road right here is when you're at my friend's house or when I'm in Parker, I take this road up and then this will take you straight to the Costco over there. And there's also a King Soopers, which is the local supermarket, the local Kroger store. And then there's a bar over there and some fast casual food, like Chipotle, sandwich shops, things like that. And they just put in a Whole Foods right there too. Like it just opened. Or at least yesterday when I was at Costco, because it's across the street from Costco, the parking lot was full, so I can only assume it's open. I have been to this park. I used to, before my dog died, we'd sometimes come down here and walk on this trail from somewhere else, from a little further north, and I'll show that to you when we pass it. But he liked to come down here, especially in the mornings or closer to dusk, because we'd always find, he'd always see a coyote or bunnies or something. Oh, puppy! Hey puppy, what's up? So yeah. My friends did ask me, because they recommended me to one of their neighbors to house sit this December. Oh, excuse me. Hi puppies, what's up? Excuse me. And I interviewed with that family the other day, and they's like, well, how much are you going to charge them? And I said, well, I gave them a very reasonable rate because I want to do it. But, so that little organic path that was off to the side there, that's the one I used to walk with my dog. I've only been up on this part of the trail once. But if you can see, I'll show you up here. Over off about 2 o'clock, there's a red barn off in the distance. That's where we would, when I had my dog, that's where we would park and we'd walk over here. So, little ice hockey rink. But yeah. But I told them what price I offered the couple. And they're like, why didn't you ask for more? They have a lot of money. I'm like, one, I didn't know how much to ask for. I didn't want to ask like full price and get, price myself out of it. I'd rather make some money than no money. And two, I did tell them that it was the friends and family rate because of the referral. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And they're like, yeah, we might not even be living here at this time. If the house hasn't sold yet, maybe you could even stay here. And I was like, well, we'll see. But yeah, we will see. But yeah, my dog liked coming over here and walking around because it was all, we went to the dog park for years. Big Cherry Creek Dog Park. It used to be like 220 open acres. Dogs could run around, do whatever they wanted to do. Access to the creek. So in the summertime, they could jump in the water and cool off or whatever. But then, the dog park got real popular as Denver kept growing. And they started to fence parts of it off and restrict where people could go and stuff. And it's still there, but it's not as open and free as it used to be. So, yeah, really kind of disgruntled at that. But here, if you take, you still can't see it, but we'll go over here to where you can. Oops, excuse me. People over there sitting in the shade. But if you see this barn over here, see the white building that's next to the barn? It's an old farmhouse. And then you can see the barn. It's now a historical area. There's a parking lot. A lot of people park there, and a lot of senior photos and wedding photos, engagement photos and stuff get taken at that barn. And down here where the trees and stuff are. But yeah, you park there and you walk down and you can access this trail system. And the trail that I'm on, not right now, but the one I turned off of to come over here, the paved one over there, that is the Cherry Creek Trail. That is the one that meets up with the South Platte River Trail. So any of those times that I'm along Spear, that is this trail. It is the same trail. I haven't noticed any, but I know there are mile markers, and when I see one and I notice it at the same time, see, Cherry Creek Trail North, Cherry Creek Trail South. When I see one, because it'll tell you how far to downtown and how far, blah, 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 I'll try and let you know. But yeah, used to get them down here, let my dog play in the water, like that buddy right there. Hey, buddy! The thing is, which I always found interesting, was there are some picnic areas back here, with like grills and tables and stuff, and it's like, okay, so who's gonna walk their stuff all the way back here? So bicycles yield to, I'm assuming that means pedestrians, not pedophiles, because this is Trump Nation, and I am in an area that Trump won resoundingly. And last year they all hated pedophiles, but since Donald Trump's on the Epstein list, now they all love pedophiles. But yeah, like this picnic area right here. We'll just go up here real quick. They got these scattered throughout here, and it's like, okay, so who's gonna come over here and drag a cooler and a grill and stuff around to picnic? But I guess we've already seen a lot of people on bikes and stuff, and people out for walks who want to stop and relax, which is perfectly fine. But do you need a whole picnic table for that, or just like a bench? Maybe they had extra money when they built the trail system, and they said, oh, well, let's just build these benches. Or these tables, I don't know. Some clouds off on the mountains down there. Which, I think the biggest chance of rain over the next couple of days is like 20%. Oh. Oops, did I want to go that way or this way? I don't know if I've ever gone this way. I think I have, for a little bit. Yeah, well, we'll go this way. We'll see what happens. And then there's all these little trails like this. And this, when I had my dog, this is the kind of stuff that we do just to kind of stay off the pavement and let him have access to sniffing opportunities. Yeah, that's actually bothering me right now. Because my friends, like I said, they bought a house in North Carolina. Like, they literally just bought it last week. So they came back, they're packing up, and they're both sitting there going, what are we going to do with the dog and cat? What are we going to do? I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, if we decide, if we move over there, we can take them, obviously, but if we're going to be traveling, we don't know anybody in that area, so we don't have anybody that can watch them for, a month or two at a time. I was like, yeah? Well, he is 10. He's not going to be around much longer because he's not the healthiest dog. He's overweight, not active. So, maybe you just don't travel for the next year or two. Or, maybe you make some friends, or, maybe you're going to have to, kennel them. Or hire a dog sitter to come over and watch them. Or make some friends. Whatever. And they're like, oh, no, that we're not going to know anybody. We might not know anybody. Because if we're traveling, we're not going to have time to make friends. I'm like, okay, well, you do have 3 children who are adults. an 18, a 22, and a 25-year-old. So, you know, and this is their childhood pets. Oh yeah, but they don't want them. And you're not going to guilt trip me into taking him. I like Bodhi. I do. He's a nice dog. He's very chill and relaxed. But I like energetic dogs that like to do stuff. Whoop, people. I am sneaking up behind you. I apologize. I wasn't expecting to find other people on this trail. Excuse me. I bumped up the pedal assist to kind of get me up that real easy. But you notice the squeaking's gone, right? So anywho, yeah. They're like, yeah, we might give the cat away to somebody on the street because he's an indoor-outdoor cat. He comes and goes as he pleases. I'm like, yeah, but, you know, whoever you sell the house to, he might just come to their house because he's used to coming in the doggy door. Like, they don't even have a cat box. They just let the cat go in and out as it pleases. And they do the same for the dog, but the dog has knee problems and he can't make it up down the stairs very easily. Whew. Hey puppies, how's it going? I'm fun. He can't make it up and down the stairs that easy, so when I come over, I always take him in and out the front door, which is at ground level. And because I don't think he's using the stairs unless he absolutely has to. Because one of the things that bothers me a lot is the dog had I forget what it's called, but it's a common knee issue with dogs. Where it usually requires a surgery. The surgery is usually between $2,000 and $4,000. And they're like, yeah, it's a lot of money, so we're not going to do the surgery. We're just going to not take him for walks and see if it heals itself. And then a few months later, they're like, look, he healed himself. And I'm like, no, he still limps. If you take him for a long walk, and when I say long, I mean like a mile, he still limps. Oops. So, yeah. I'm like, I don't know if he's actually like in pain, like if he's in like constant pain because the injury's still there. But I'm pretty sure that's why he doesn't like to go up and down the stairs, inside or outside. So, yeah. I feel bad because he's such a mama's boy, the dog. Like, he just frets if she's not around. And I don't know if they've decided, because she hasn't said anything about leaving him behind or finding a home from him. The husband has. Now, the husband's also the one who did not want to buy a house. I'm just trying to see, because the path obviously goes right and left here, but there's another path on the other side of this, on the other side of the creek, which is where this tree line is. And I know where that one goes, but I don't know where this left goes. So, let's try it. I know eventually we get to the, oh yeah, this might just go back up to the neighborhoods here. We'll go a little bit, then turn around if we have to. But I think this just goes under to the neighborhood, where the path I wanted goes under this bridge over here you can't see, and continues to go north. But this is why, you know, and I've talked about this before, this is one of the reasons I love living in Denver. There's all kinds of paths and trails and stuff like this to explore. It's actually, I think, required when anybody wants to build a neighborhood, you know, any developers come in and they want to build neighborhoods or homes or whatever. Yeah, this just goes over here. Okay. They're required to put in trail systems now that connect to other trail systems. So, yeah. But yeah, like the husband wants to travel 100% of the time. He doesn't want the dog and cat anymore. They're not his animals. She wants to still homestead or nest or whatever. and then travel as they wish. Because she was even telling me, she was like, yeah, I told him we'll try this for a year. If it doesn't work, if we decide we don't like it, we don't like the people, we don't like the culture, we don't like the neighborhood, whatever the case may be, then we can do something else and just rent this house out. I'm like, fair enough. As it is, they want to, they were talking about, like, when they travel, they want to travel for like months at a time, and they want to be able to rent the house out, like long-term rental, not long-term like years, but long-term like months and weeks, or month at the shortest, months at the longest. So I have been over here before. I know this area. There's a little parking area right up here to the left. I think this is Broncos Parkway. So if you take this road to my right and you take it down another mile or so, you'll get to the Broncos Training Center, hence Broncos Parkway. And if you're a football fan or a Broncos fan in particular, that might be exciting for you. I am not, so it means nothing to me. But yeah, so they're still trying to figure out what their next steps are. They just know they want to get rid of a lot of stuff. They're like, oh, you're moving into a new apartment. Do you need this? Do you need this? Do you need this? Do you need this? And I'm like, I'm not moving into any places that have enough room for all this crap. So no. Like, I might take this desk because it's a narrow desk. Like, it's maybe 24 inches wide, 4 feet long. And it could be a little lower for me. Like, typing is a little uncomfortable holding my hands up as high as I have to, but as far as a desk goes, it's not the worst. And it's, like I said, it's a nice narrow, so you put it up against a wall or something and you don't have to worry about whatchamacallit. You don't have to worry about taking up too much space in the middle of the room. So this, I think, when we come out of this bridge, is the ecological park. So, oops. You can't see the people down there because the camera's not facing that way, but there's people down there playing in the water, on the rocks and stuff. There's another little parking lot up here off to the left. I've parked over here before and come out and hung out. Yeah, like right here. Well, I'm talking about the parking lot, but we're going to go on this little path here. But it's supposed to be like like an ecological area where you can, nature just runs wild. And it does remind me of parks and paths in Florida a lot. So, no swimming or wading in this pond over here because water looks terrible. Oops. Come over here. Ooh, hey, Border Collie. Border Collie did not give a crap about me. I love Border Collies. I would have them all if I could. So yeah, they're still trying to figure out everything. Like, he was literally going through the garage and they're, like, oh yeah, we're not taking this chair, but we're taking that chair. We're not taking this table, but we're taking that table. Oh, do you need a dining room table? I'm like, their dining room table is like 10 feet long. And I'm like, I don't need anything that big. Oops. I'm gonna scooch around you real quick, or between you, I guess. Excuse me, it's all good. Have a good one. Yeah, they're out doing a photo shoot. And I know this area fairly well too. Used to come here with my dog. I also, on the other side of these buildings, I'm very familiar with that area. But there's apartments around here and houses and stuff, so. You didn't see it, but that dude had a clear backpack. So the backpack he was wearing had like a clear bubble on the back, and there was a cat in the back of it. Okay. But yeah. So yeah, they're just going through. They're trying to give me everything, and I'm like, I have that. I don't need that. Oh, we're not taking all the beds. We're only going to take like 2 beds. Do you need a bed? Nope, have a bed. What about a mattress? I'm like, there's only one mattress I've been on in your house, because I haven't been in their daughter's bed and I haven't been in their bed. But I've been in their 2 spare bedrooms. And, the only one I would even remotely want would be that one. Oh, that's the one we're keeping. Yeah, because that's the best mattress here. So no, I don't need any of your mattresses either. What about dishes? You got dishes? I'm like, I have dishes. Well, what about this other dining room table? Hey puppies. The one that's in the kitchen. It's kind of like not a breakfast nook, but it's one of those that's like 36 inches in diameter, and it's round. Like, what about that one? And I'm like, yeah, I don't really, every time I've ever lived alone, I've never really, hey puppies. I've never really sat at a dining room table. Well, where do you eat? And I'm like, either I eat in the kitchen standing there, or I sit on the couch and eat. Like, yeah, I don't really sit at a dining room table. Every dining room table I've ever had has just ended up being a place to collect junk. You empty your pockets on it, you throw the mail on it, you don't know what to do with something, so you set it down on the dining room table, knowing full well that you're gonna no, we're not gonna go that way. It looks a little too sandy. It's not hard packed dirt. I actually thought about trying to apply to these places over here because, again, trail system, walkable to shopping and stuff right here. There's a couple restaurants, and then across the street and Caddy Corner is another giant strip mall with shops and movie theaters and restaurants and stuff. So you could walk, to get to the store. Target's right there, or King Soopers across the street. Or you could walk to get to a bar, or a couple of restaurants and things like that. But I really just don't want to live on this side of town. I really don't. Excuse me. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, I don't need your stuff. I have stuff. That's why I pay for a storage unit right now. Because I have stuff. They tried to give me a lamp earlier. You want any of these lamps? I'm like, nope. I have more lamps than anybody in an apartment should need. Because keep in mind, I used to own a 3-bedroom house. And while I didn't keep everything when I moved out of the 3-bedroom house, I did keep some things. Like, I have these really cool lamps that I bought. They're kind of steampunky. Like, they have, what do you call them? Not hinges. What are they called? Rollers. They have rollers and stuff, and, they just kind of have this, like, antique 19th century vibe about them. I love them a lot. I got a floor model and a tabletop model. And then I just bought a couple of more lamps. About a month ago when I went to the Rock and Gym show. So, because I bought a couple of onyx lamps. So it's onyx, and you put the light in the middle, and it lights up the onyx. It adds like this really cool ambience to the room, and I like that. I like ambient light, which was a problem with the girl that I used to live with because she hated ambient light. I'm like, why do you hate it? It's so awesome. And she's like, no, it's not. I hate it. It's so stupid. And I'm like, so I'm going to turn around because this trail ends right here at the road. The trail I needed was over here. I actually walked through here in like knee-deep snow one time because my truck was broken down and I couldn't get it to the mechanic, and because of the length of the snow. So yeah. Anywho, yeah. So yeah, they keep trying to give me stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. And I'm like, you're gonna sell your house, and you're gonna make like $500,000 selling your house. don't need to piecemeal what you're going to take with you. You can buy stuff there. Like, you guys are moving into that next phase of your life where you're going to be empty nesters and you're going to have a little bit more money. Hey, puppy, what's up? Yeah, just live life. Because he's like, oh yeah, do you need any of these couches? Because we have these 2 couches up here and we have the one downstairs. And I'm like, again, maybe the love seat, but I don't think anywhere I move to is going to have space for couches, or like all these couches. Like the love seat, the only thing I really like about their couches is that they're deep. So they're like the width of a twin bed. So if you need somebody to crash on a couch, it'll be comfortable for them. Or you, like, if it's Saturday afternoon and it's raining or snowing or something and you're just kind of laying there doing nothing, you fall asleep on the couch and you're perfectly fine. So I might take their smaller couch, and then they offered me the recliner, which I might take. It's a nice leather recliner. So we'll see. So there used to be, a couple years ago, I came walking on this part of the trail, parked up here at this parking lot we're going to exit to, and there used to be a little homeless encampment. And when I say encampment, I mean like 2 or 3 people kind of camping in the trees. But this little parking lot off to the left, I've parked there and accessed the trail before. And this road in front of us is Arapahoe Road, if you're keeping track. And I am 7.5 miles into the ride so far. I really thought I'd get to Cherry Creek State Park, but I don't know if I will. So I'm just trying to do 10 out and 10 back. I just want to see where that goes or how far that gets me. Because I'm going to be back here at their house next month. And they did tell me I could stay at their house until I find a place to live. So that's an option too, if I don't want to go back to that other building. And when I turn around and the wind's not so prolific, we'll talk about what happened there. Since I know you guys are dying to know what the tea is. So this part of the trail I have absolutely 100% never been on. And we are, okay, so here's one of the mile markers I was talking about. It says 20 miles. That is 20 miles from downtown Denver. So on this battery, on this charge, I could make it to Denver and probably back just on this trail alone. That's what I mean. Like, this trail will go all the way down there. And I did that once from my house, but my house was another 10 miles north of here. But back, before I had an electric bike, before electric bikes were even a thing, I did that one time just to see if I could and how long it would take. Which, it's one of those things where it's really easy getting to Denver because it's all roughly downhill. But coming back, it's all uphill. Not quite even as steep as this, but steep enough that you notice. Especially after already riding for 20 miles. So, and it's this kind of thing is why I bought an electric bike in the first place. Because I didn't want to have to fight with the hills and stuff. Oh, there's a snake. Hi, snake. But yeah, I've never been over here at all. Obviously, there's an electrical substation here. I have been to this gas station, and I have bought marijuana, stuff at this marijuana dispensary right here. No, I don't smoke. But yeah, I actually stopped at this gas station last week and bought a soda. And then here's the marijuana place right here. Because every once in a while I like to just relax. It's so interesting because I didn't realize, and this is one of the things marijuana helped me with, I didn't realize how confined my thoughts were And it's kind of hard to explain. Like, you know, the best way I can describe it is, you know, when it kicks in and I'm enjoying myself and I'm watching a TV show or a movie or whatever, before I would watch the TV show, the movie, or whatever, and it would just be, here you go. You know, I'm watching it. You know, here's the story, here's the characters, here's the dynamics between the characters, blah, blah, blah. But since a couple of times when I was on some THC, it would get to the point where, like, I'm watching the show. Oh, no, I will make it to Cherry Creek State Park. We're not that far away. It's on the other side of this golf course, duh. Yeah, I didn't realize how close I actually was. I thought I was still a little further away. But now when if I'm inebriated now and I watch it, I see different things. Like, I still see the TV show. I still see the plot. I still see, you know, the acting and stuff. But now I see, like, I look at it differently. I see the color and lighting theory behind it. I see, you know, what went into the script. Like, one of the things that's really fun for me is, you know, you're watching a script and the characters are having an argument and you're like, oh, is this a metaphor for something the writers are going through? Is this a metaphor for something the director's having to deal with? Is this a metaphor, you know, does that person get that one line, you know, it's just a throwaway line on a throwaway person because it's a producer's niece or a producer's cousin or something, that they're like, yeah, you know, if I'm going to produce this, you need to throw a part in there for my cousin. So they get a cashier or somebody who just walks up out of the blue, says a line, and then walks off screen, and you're like, huh. Makes me wonder, like, what, like, more in depth, what happened in the background, as opposed to just seeing it for what it is. So it's really interesting to look at things in that direction, because that's not how I think. I'm a on its face type person. If, you know, like right now, if you ask me what color the sky is, I'm going to tell you the sky is blue because the sky is blue. There's no metaphor there. The sky is blue. But I found out that a lot of people don't think like that. You know, they think everything's a metaphor. But it also kind of gets me in trouble too, because the other night I was kind of inebriated a little bit and had a conversation with one of my friend's neighbors where I'm house sitting. You know, I started second guessing the conversation. To me, I'm like, you know, my normal self, I'm like, oh, it's just on its face. She's just asking about me. She's just trying to figure out what kind of person I am. But after I had some stuff in me and I started thinking about the conversation, I'm like, oh, shoot. There's a very good chance she might have been hitting on me. Like, what are the odds? Like, that kind of thing. Like, because you start second guessing, like, why would she ask that question? Like, there's no reason to. She doesn't need to know that about me. Yeah. And then I started to wonder, I was like, oh, crap. What if they don't need a house sitter? What if the husband and wife are swingers? And they're interviewing, like, a swing partner. Like, what if I missed out on something? I'm like, yeah. So, I want to say this is part of Cherry Creek State Park. I'm not 100% certain. I'll know when I see some more stuff. Because, like, I'm looking west, and I think this is Cherry Creek State Park, going by some of the buildings and some of the landscape features that I'm familiar with. Same thing with looking north. I see this building up there. I know where that is. That's at I-25 and 225. Oh no, that's at Parker and 225. So, yeah, I think this is Cherry Creek State Park. Like I said, I was closer. Yeah, and I'm at 9.5 miles. So, like I said, about 10 miles. Because I used to... Oh, let's go take a look. I'll show you. Oh, guy on a horse. Because horses are allowed on the park. It's Colorado, horses are allowed pretty much anywhere. What's interesting is horses have the right of way over bicycles, pedestrians, dogs, cars, everything, because it's legacy law. Hey puppy, what's up? Yeah, and this right here, what you're seeing right here to the left and right, this is what Denver and all of the Colorado Front Range would look like if it were not for landscaping. It would be all these kind of brushes and scrubs and dirt and, you know, stuff. But, you know, they, all these neighborhoods bring in the Kentucky bluegrass or whatever. You know, they plant the trees, they do everything, but this is what natural Colorado looks like. This would actually make a great photo spot too. Like if you wanted that roadway shot without having to worry about being run over. See a lot of deer poop around here. Obviously there's a couple of trails to my right. So I've been on the further one. I've been on that one dozens of times. I don't know if I've ever been on this part of the road though. But straight ahead, I don't know if the camera's picking it up very well, but you can see what looks like a hill. Like if you were to follow this yellow line straight, it looks like it dead ends to a hill. That's not a hill, that's a dam. That's the Cherry Creek Dam for the Cherry Creek Reservoir. My house that I used to live in, or that I used to own, is right on the other side of that dam. So my master bedroom actually looked out over that dam. So, like I said, I used to come here all the time. I'd walk over, ride the bike over, bring my dog over, go to the dog park, which we've already passed because I didn't make the detour to that side of the park. Because we're on the west side, and then there's an east side separated by the actual reservoir. So I kind of wanted to see where this road went, because, like I said, this would be a great place to come and do a photo shoot. No traffic. No buildings, no signs of civilization. It just looks like a road out in the middle of nowhere. So yeah. And one of the apartments I'm looking at is back over in this area too, because I do like this area. And if my friends actually, it's so funny because I actually said, I was like, yeah, you know, if you guys weren't moving, if you were, yeah, you might get a motorcycle over here, but you're not going to get a car with a closed gate. Okay, maybe that's why nobody uses this road. But I told him, I was like, yeah, you know, if you weren't moving and you were willing to rent me your entire basement for, you know, X number of dollars a month, you know, that would have been an option for me. I don't. One of the reasons, I think this is a shooting range. Yeah. Okay. All right, I know how to get to that road now. Yeah, there's a outdoor shooting range right here. It's usually busy. I'm surprised we're not hearing more bang, bang, bang. There also used to be an outdoor model plane range here, or a remote control plane range. And then you can see, if you zoom in, you can probably see the mountains straight ahead. But those mountains are still pretty far away. Oh, now I can hear some firing. But yeah. And if you see these buildings off to the left, kind of like a 10 o'clock-ish, that's the tech center, or part of the tech center. So that's where we're at. And then you see the trees off to the right, that big wall of yellow trees. Those trees is a forested area that surrounds the actual lake. So, you know what, we're here. We might go through one of those paths. So it's not super hot today. It's a little windier than I wanted it to be, but it's not super hot. Actually, this parking lot over here off to the left, I came out here one time during a supermoon, because I used to live right up the road from here. So I came out here and parked overnight and got some pictures of the moon. That was a long time ago though, at least 10 years. Yeah, just me and my dog. We just sat there in the parking lot and looked at the moon, and I took some photos of the supermoon or whatever it was. Yeah. So we'll go this way. Still breezy. Like I said, it's not super windy, so I don't know why it feels so breezy out. Oopsie. How's it going? Hey puppy, what's up? No bikes, no pets, no horses. Alright, guess we're not going through there. Guess we will go this way. So we're at 11 miles exactly right now. And for the record, it is 11:38 on the 12th of October. But I read somewhere that this is the second largest urban park in North America, or in the United States, after Central Park. So, while it is a state park, it is still an urban park because it is surrounded by homes and office buildings and stuff. I did read a funny story though. Not funny, haha, but funny, ironic. So apparently early settlers, before the dam was there obviously, early settlers tried to create a little town or whatever, a little village on over here where the park is at some point. I don't know what part of the park, but the local natives said, yeah, you don't want to build there. It floods. And the white people said, no, you guys are savages, we know what we're talking about. And the natives said, okay, but you're gonna be sorry. And they built their little town, and then it flooded. Okay, so then fast forward, they tried to rebuild, and the natives were like, yeah, you really shouldn't build that. They're like, oh yeah, but that shouldn't happen again. We took precautions, it won't happen again. And sure enough, a couple of years later, it flooded. And I think it happened one more time before the white people finally learned their lesson and said, yeah, let's not build there. And then a girl that I used to live with, she was a native of the area. She was born and raised here. She made me watch some movie that starred, what is that actor's name? I cannot remember that actor's name. We're not going to take the Cherry Creek Trail here. We're going to go around real quick. I'm going to show you the dog park. Matt Dillon, I think, one of his earliest roles, maybe his very first role. And but it was filmed right here in Aurora, Colorado. And part of it was filmed at this park. So, yeah, it was really interesting to see the changes because it was filmed in the 70s or early 80s. But she had a blast, trying to figure out where all the buildings were. Oh my God, I know exactly where that house is. I know where that neighborhood is. I know where that building is. And it's cool. You know what? I should come up here one day with my camera when it's not busy, while the colors are still here. Maybe I'll do that. I won't be able to do it tomorrow. Maybe I'll do it Tuesday. I did read something that said they're changing the rules on this park, or they changed the rules. It used to be 24/7 access. I don't know if you saw the dog in that car. There's the park office up there, and then the north side of the dog park is over here. But and I haven't been to this dog park since before Rufus died. But I do drive on the road and I've seen it, so I know they put up fences and stuff. But yeah, it used to be 24/7 access, and I guess now they're kicking everybody out by 9 and or something, 8 or 9. And the only people who can be on the park after hours is people who have a camping permit, because there was a campground over there. Which is a shame, because like I said, I've been out here at midnight before, 1 o'clock in the morning to do night pictures. Yeah. You used to come by and cars would be parked all the way around here, but it looks like they added all these no parking signs. I just want to see real quick if they added a no bicycle signs. No bicycles over there. What about over here? That's all dog rules. Hey, puppies. See, when I first started coming to this dog park, this trail wasn't even here. This was just one of those little organic trails from people who parked and walked across the grass. And then they came and put the dirt down one year. Like, I don't even remember when, but it was like 10, 12 years after I started coming to this park. They put the dirt down, but you could still, the dog could still go to the end of the leash over here and over there or whatever. But now it looks like they really fenced it in. Hey, puppy. Hello, puppies. Oops. Hello, puppy. So yeah, but we always parked at the south entrance because the parking lot's right there. You didn't have to walk through something like this in order to get to the off-leash area. So you just kind of open the car door, and if nobody's around, you just let your dog go. But I think they stopped that too. They put a gate up so people weren't letting their dogs run around the parking lot, which I understand, but I also don't like. Used to be able to walk up this trail right here with off-leash. Like I said, they shrunk the park. Yeah, we'll go this way. We won't go through that one. But this used to be like the perimeter of the dog park. This path that I'm on right now, this used to be off-leash area. But they put the fence up over there, shrinking the off-leash area. And they did that all the way around. Hi, puppies. So, yeah, like I said, all this used to be dog park. It was, well, off-leash. Well, now it's not. Which I think is, dumb, because as the population's gotten bigger and the park's become more popular, they need to expand the off-leash area and not constrict it. We got some wetlands over here. And I know that's what they were trying to do, is prevent dogs from destroying the wetlands. I get it. But, again, there needs to be more land for the dogs, not less. Now, luckily, there's a lot of little dog parks that popped up, like that one we saw earlier. But that one's only a couple of acres, while this one used to be about 220 acres of just off-leash bliss for dogs. I've seen people out here riding their bikes with their dogs. I've seen people out here in the wintertime with huskies on sleds. I've seen people out here flying kites while their dogs were running around. People bring ball, families will bring a ball and throw the ball with the kids while the dogs are running around. I've seen it all. Yeah, so there's a pond right in front of us. You can't see it yet. This used to be a place where the dogs could run in and swim because it got deep enough for the dogs to not be able to touch. And it's funny because right here at this pond, many, many moons ago, there was a dude, he might have been a Bronco. He was that kind of like size. But the pond's back here behind these bushes now. But he was over here at this bench, and I'm going to show you the bench. Oopsie. He was over here at this bench when I was with my dog. And I came up, and he had a Mastiff with him, and I was like, that's a huge dog, dude. He's like, yeah, he's 225 pounds. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm 225 pounds. And I don't think I can run as fast as him, so. But right on the other side of these bushes, none of these bushes used to be here because people would stand here and throw the ball for their dogs to jump in the water. People would bring their horses in here, lead their horses into the water for their horses to cool off. It was that kind of thing. Like I said, horses can go anywhere. Horses are not restricted on this park where they can go. Only dogs are. So, yeah, and the people had to fight for that because they wanted to get rid of the dogs altogether. There was a time, though, when I first had Rufus and we were walking around and there used to be a little trail that would go around the pond and then it connected with a trail that would then connect back up over here. He and I walked that way and then got to the other side of the pond and it was flooded. It was going to be like knee-deep water and I was in sandals and I was like, I'm not going to walk through that. So we turned around to come back and suddenly there were snakes everywhere. Like bull snakes had come out of the woodwork. Ah, it looks like the creek shifted paths here. I don't see anything that says no bikes. Fall off-leash dog park area closure. Oh, so for 3 days. Well, at least they notified. Back in the day, they didn't used to notify. But it used to be Colorado Parks and Recreation. Now it's Parks and Wildlife because they merged the wildlife department with the parks a few years ago. But this area right here, before the fences, used to be like a beach, and the dogs could run down and get in the water. Dogs could run down and get in the water and cool off and stuff. Rufus loved this area. My border collie loved this area. This is before they paved it and fenced it. Oops. But yeah, wow, first time I've been here in 7 years. But you can see the people out there and everything. So it's so funny because they came through and paved it, citing that it needed ADA access, which, okay, I get. So they paved it so people in wheelchairs could, get down to the water with their dogs. Okay, again, I get it. And they put up some bricks and stuff so that, to reduce erosion. Hi, puppy. And then they had a couple of bad storms and a couple of heavy winters that, when the water melted, it flooded the creek. And the creek, just washed away all the work they've done. Hi, puppy. So the creek had done away with all the work that they had done to maintain the property or to maintain the erosion. So, yeah, that paved area ended up under like a foot of sand and whatnot. All those rocks they pulled in and placed ended up being under rock or under sand and dirt and stuff. And it just became an issue. I haven't been here in years, so I don't know if they came through and cleaned everything out, or if it just naturally, washed everything away. But a good friend of mine, I've known her for, I've lived in Colorado for 26 years, so I've known her for 26 years, as of October, actually. I met her here at this park. This used to be a great area. Oops. Hi, puppy. What's up? Where the water is a little deeper for the dogs to jump in. You can see that lab struggling to get out. Of course, none of the dogs are smart enough to just go around, but it is what it is. But they put in all these rocks and steps and stuff to try to mitigate the erosion because this used to be just a dirt cliff. But the dogs like it. Oh. So, and you can see that other parking lot up there. That's where we used to park. Back before they had bathrooms and fences and everything. And then I'm going to show you a spot many, many moons ago. So probably around 2010, 2008, somewhere around there. In this general vicinity where I'm at right now, a ranger pulled up on me. And he's like, hey, do you have a pass? And I'm like, yeah, it's up there on my truck. And he's like, well, I need to see it. And I'm like, well, it's up there on my truck. And it was winter time. It was probably 20 degrees out. I was wearing a jacket. I had my hands in my pockets. And he started freaking out. Get your hands out of your pockets. Get your hands out of pockets. Show me your hands. So I pulled my hands out, showed him my hands, and I put my hands back in my pocket. He's grabbing his gun. He's freaking out. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing, dude? This is a dog park. And he's like, I don't care. I need to see your hands. You're fine. Well, thank you. I need to see your hands. I need to see your hands. And I'm like, for what? I need to make sure you're not armed. And I'm like, well, showing you my hands isn't going to prove I'm not armed. I could still be armed. But he's got his hand on his pistol like he's going to draw on me for not showing my hands well enough. Blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, I called him names like coward, punk, wuss, except I used the P word, stuff like that. And we're going to exit the dog park here just because I don't want to get in the way of too many dogs. But he ended up writing me a ticket because I couldn't prove I had a pass, but you don't have to prove you have a pass because the pass is on your vehicle. Went to court. I went to court over it. I wasn't just paying the ticket because screw that. And the judge asks where the complainant is. And the DA was like, oh, well, he is in training today, so we're asking for a continuance. And the judge looked at me and said, what do you think? And I said, well, I'm here. And the judge said, that's my same thought. So he asked the DA, he goes, did you subpoena the ticketing officer, or however he put it? And the DA said, yeah, but his office said he was out of town on a training mission. He won't be back. So we're asking for a continuance. And the judge goes, no, if he was subpoenaed, he needs to be here. If he's not here, Jason, you can go. And I was like, cool. Hi, puppies. What's up? Yep. Excuse me. So yeah. And then every time I saw that ranger after that, I just give him the big middle finger. And I don't think I've ever been over here. But we are kind of heading south again. I know there's apartments and houses and stuff over here, which is where I thought when I entered the park. Remember when I went through that little gate thing? I was talking about the being on marijuana and how it changed how I thought and stuff, or how I interpreted certain things. But this is where I thought I was coming in at. How you doing? I didn't realize I was coming in somewhere else entirely. So yeah, this is all new to me. I went to that dog park almost every day for 20 years. I mean, there were days I was out of town or days when I just couldn't make it. But say on average, probably 5 days a week for 20 years. Because sometimes it was 7 days a week for months on end. And sometimes it was, you're out of town on vacation for a week, or, you're going camping or something, so you're not down here. Yeah, did all of it. But I think the wind has died a little bit. So let's talk about what happened last week. It was last week today, actually. So I was down in Parker, staying at my friend's house because they were out of town. Their daughter had her, homecoming dance? And they're like, yeah, she's going to be spending the night at her friend's house. Can you come down and stay with the dogs? or the dog and the cat, and make sure they're fed and taken care of. And same thing in the morning. She should be back no later than noon. And I'm like, sure, whatever. I don't know where this goes. I'm kind of wondering if it connects, if that road down there is the one that I took into the park. We're gonna see. But it'd be nice to have one of these houses back here in this nice little neighborhood with a state park right there, so nobody will ever build on it or develop it. It'll never be a 7-Eleven. That'd be so awesome. But yeah, so I spent the night at my friend's house, blah, blah, blah. The next morning, last Sunday, and today is Sunday. Oh, no, today's Saturday. No, today's Sunday. Today's Sunday. Sorry, my days are off. On Friday, I thought it was Saturday all day because I didn't have any appointments or anything going on. So, anywho, yeah, I think this is it. Yeah. But, share the road, bicycles. So, I had lunch or brunch, kinda. I guess it was like 9:30 with a friend at IHOP here in Parker. Then I went out to my storage unit because I wanted to get a couple of things and put a couple of things in the storage unit that I no longer needed for the summer. And then I stopped at Costco, grabbed some groceries and stuff, and then headed back to the building I'm staying in, or was staying in. It's kind of in that paradox right now of I'm doing both. I'm not there, but I'm there. And I'll explain that. So fast forward, I get back there about 3:30. Now, because I'm on a temporary lease, like literally they gave me 4 months, and October is technically the third month. But since I'm on a temporary lease, I went ahead and I'm required to sign in every day. It's a thing. Don't ask me why. But, I go in, I go up to the front desk and just to sign in the paperwork to say that I'm actually using the space, that they can't lease it out to anybody else. So I go in, and I hadn't been on site all day. I hadn't been on site since the day before, but somebody had already signed in for me, which was odd because I hadn't even been in the city. I hadn't been on that side of town, and I sure as hell hadn't signed in. So I asked the front desk lady, I'm like, hey, is this the current sheet? Because they're not the most organized group of people. I need to get over on that trail. Sorry, I was looking over my shoulder. See if we can do this without falling over. Yeah, I need to be down here. So I go, hey, is this the current sheet? And she goes, well, there's a date on it, so you can tell you can tell if it's the current sheet. And I was like, well, no, there's no date on it, which is why I'm asking. And she goes, yes, there is. And I'm like, no, there's not. And she goes, there's a date at the top. And I said, no, there's dates at the top of these other sheets, but there's not a date at the top of my sheet. So I don't know if this is the current sheet or not. Can you take a look and tell me? And she goes, I don't have to look at shit because you're just a piece of shit. Well, I don't have to look at anything because you're a piece of shit, or something to that effect. She definitely said piece of shit. And I was like, I'm sorry. I haven't called you names. I haven't raised my voice. I haven't been derogatory. There's no reason for you to jump into that. And she said, all you people that live here are pieces of shit, and I don't have to do anything for any of you. I was like, seriously? Are you really saying this? Like, your job is to run the front desk. Are you kidding me with this? You're literally saying you don't need your job because you don't have to do anything. Like, you have no responsibilities whatsoever. And she's just looking down at her phone. And I'm like, seriously? She's just ignoring me at this point. And I'm like, seriously? Well, if I'm a piece of shit, you're a POS for calling me a POS. And I told her that. And I've said it, you know, a gazillion times since then, you know, when I'm explaining what happened to people. Okay, I was just making sure I didn't need to turn there. If you don't know where we're at now, there's that power substation. So fast forward. Up on the left. Fast forward, I go to my laptop. I go back down into the common areas because I don't pay for internet for a temporary place. So I'm just using the common area internet, which everybody has access to. And I'm sending an email to the person who arranged for me to stay there for the temporary status. And I'm like, you know, hey, this is BS. You know, the staff here just called me a POS, you know, for asking a very basic question. And this is what the question was. And I even took video. Like, I took the sign-in sheet and I was like, this is the sign-in sheet. I haven't been here all day. I haven't been here since yesterday. And yet there's a sign-in sheet here saying that I have been here. So I don't know what's going on. And I tried to ask this question, and I'm showing this in the video. And I'm trying to ask this question, and she called me a piece of shit, which was completely unfounded. So while I'm in the middle of this, another staff member shows up. Now, I don't know if he was starting his shift or coming back from a break or whatever, but I've chatted with him before. We've been relatively friendly with each other. So I told him, I was like, hey, you know, she called me a piece of shit, and I don't appreciate that. And instead of saying, oh yeah, well, let's fill out a report, let's file an incident report, let's anything, instead of going over and telling her, saying, hey, you can't talk to the residents of this building like that. He just says, I'll take care of it. And I said, okay, how are you going to take care of it? And he goes, I'll take care of it. And I said, how? And he goes, I will, trust me. And I was like, no, I don't trust you. Tell me how you're going to take care of it. And he's just like, leave me alone or I'm going to write you up and have you kicked out of the building. I'm like, freaking write me up, dude. I don't care. Like, I will move out. It doesn't bother me. I have options. But he knows I'm in this transition period where I'm trying to find a place to live, and I'm staying there temporarily. And it was raining and it was cold. I think it was only like 50 degrees or something. And it was rainy, and he goes, yeah, but at least, you know, when I leave here today, I have a home to go to. Where are you going to go? And I was like, are you effing kidding me with this? Are you really saying that to me? He goes, yeah. And then he walked away. So I started packing up my stuff with the intent of packing up what, you know, little things I had. But I made sure I could get out of there in 1 or 2 trips. But I had just bought groceries and stuff, so I had to, you know, a couple of more trips to make. But I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I will pack up, I will spend the night here, I will talk to the actual management staff tomorrow morning and decide what I'm going to do from there. Like, am I going to stay longer or am I going to take off? Well, every time I was pulling, you know, I had to make like 4 trips back and forth from the room to my truck because I'm taking stuff out. Like, here's a backpack and a pair of boots. Here's another backpack and, you know, a computer bag. Here's another backpack and my laundry basket. Stuff like that, you know, just making multiple trips. And each time he's making comments like that. Like, where are you going to go? You going to go sleep under a bridge? I have a warm house to go to when I leave here. Just stupid stuff like that. And each time I'm like, are you kidding me with this? Are you kidding me? Like, you shouldn't be saying this to me. And I told him that, and he's like, I don't care. I already wrote you up. I already called the management staff, and they all agreed that you're being kicked out. They're going to terminate your lease. And I'm like, fine, bye. And I left. He actually told me he was going to call the police on me too if I didn't leave right away. And then he told me he did call the police. And then he told me the police were on their way. And I left. What were the police going to do? Nothing. They can't arrest you for moving out. So I sent that email to the person who arranged for me to get into that building under the temporary status. And let's just say it is a very powerful organization. Hi, puppies. Hi. And the guy I sent that email, blah, blah, blah. The next morning, my phone blows up. Like, absolutely. Like, I'm getting calls from managers. I'm getting calls from this organization. I'm getting text messages from staff at the building I just left. Like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Well, let me rephrase that. That didn't happen yet. So the next morning, I did get calls and emails from the organization that arranged for me to be in there. But like I said, it's a very powerful organization. And this building bends over and grabs ankle every time this organization calls. So, like I said, powerful. Well, later that day, because it's Monday, so a week from tomorrow, or a week ago tomorrow, I sent a text message to one of the staff members there that I happen to get to know. And I was like, hey, just want to give you a heads up. I moved out because your one staff member called me a piece of shit, and your other staff member told me he called all the senior staff and made arrangements for me to be kicked out anyway. And then my phone started blowing up because he's like, what do you mean? We don't know anything about this. So I had an appointment up that way anyway on Thursday. I said, yeah, I'll come by Thursday and talk about it. Right now I'm staying at a friend's house. And he's like, because I called my friends and I was like, hey, this just happened, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, well, you know how to get into our house, so just go to our house. You were going to be there this weekend anyway, watching our dog and cat, so you just show up a couple days early, no big deal. Because their daughter was still in town. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I went over to their house. Thought about getting one of those, but I didn't think my back would be able to handle it. So yeah, fast forward, and I'm getting all these calls, and everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And then the guy in the building calls me back, and he goes, hey, just FYI, we can't last until Thursday, because if you're gone for more than 72 hours without checking in, remember I have to check in every day, then by policy we have to evict you. So I go up there on the third day, but still well within the 72-hour mark. And I want to talk to the senior management. Unfortunately, senior management was not there. But I talked to mid-level management, the guy that I had text messaged, and a couple other people that worked there. Because again, low-income housing, so they had a lot of like social workers that worked on site to help the low-income people navigate social services and processes, and helping them get driver's licenses if they don't have them, and things like that, trying to help them get back on their feet. So a bunch of these people came into the room, and I told them what happened in excruciating detail. And they're like, yeah, they never said anything like that to us. Like the staff that night, they were supposed to if anything like that happens, they're supposed to fill out an incident report. They didn't. And I'm like, well, it sounds like they're trying to cover it up, trying to make it look like I just moved out. And they're like, huh. Like you could see the worry on their face, like, holy crap, is this happening again, or is this happening for real or something? And I was like, yeah, and the guy told me this, and they're like, he doesn't have the authority to make those decisions. And I was like, well, he's acting like he does. So I just said, screw it, and I left. I don't need that in my life. I don't need to be called a piece of shit. I don't need somebody trying to, shame me for moving out. And they're like, yeah, no, he doesn't have that authority. So we're going to have to do an investigation and see what really happened. I'm like, investigate all you want. Here's video. Oh, yeah. And then they're like, okay, well, here's our senior director. She's in charge of everything. She's the one who makes all the decisions. Here's her direct contact information. You can call her directly and tell her your side of the story, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, well, I'll go write up an in-depth email. Hi, puppy. What's up? I'll go write an in-depth email about what happened, that's, you know, it's going to have the same talking points as the one I sent to the organization who got me in there. Which, when I say organization, the VA. I called the VA and I said, hey, I just lost my place of living. You know, what are my options? And they're like, well, we can get you into this low-income housing while you look for another place, but it's temporary. You only have a couple of days to do it, or a couple of months. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So the VA got me in there. So I called my contact at the VA, who was,